GPT-5 has been out for 3 months now, and the internet is already bored of it. That's not a joke. OpenAI just dropped what they promised would be the most powerful AI ever built, and within weeks people were already asking what's next. But here's what nobody's talking about. 2 competitors are about to drop models that could make GPT-5 look overpriced and outdated. Google's Gemini 3.0 is rumored to launch November 12th, and leaked documents suggest it's going to completely rewrite the playbook. Meanwhile, DeepSeek just leaked specs for both V4 and R2, and the numbers are borderline absurd. We're talking about models that match or exceed GPT-5's capabilities at a fraction of the cost. So let's break down what's actually happening right now, because the AI landscape is about to shift harder than it did when Chatgpt first launched. Let's start with GPT-5 because everyone needs to understand what we're comparing against. OpenAI released it August 7, 2025. The hype was massive. This was supposed to be the model that finally delivered on the AGI promises Sam Altman had been teasing for years, and in some ways, it delivered. GPT-5 absolutely destroys its predecessor on reasoning tasks. It can hold context windows, stretching into millions of tokens, plan dozens of steps ahead, and self-correct mistakes in ways GPT-4 never could. For creative work, complex coding, and nuanced research, it's genuinely the best model available right now. But here's the problem nobody wants to admit. It's insanely expensive to run. ChatGPT Plus subscribers are paying $20 a month, but that's subsidized heavily by Microsoft's ongoing cash injections. The actual cost to serve GPT-5 queries is roughly 10 times higher per token than GPT-4. OpenAI is burning through compute credits faster than they can monetize usage. And for most users, the performance gains don't justify the cost. If you're drafting emails, summarizing documents, or doing basic coding, GPT-5 is overkill. It's like buying a Ferrari to drive to the grocery store. Sure, it's faster, but you're never actually using that speed. And that's the opening Google and DeepSeek are exploiting. Let's talk about Google because Gemini 2.5 has been quietly eating ChatGPT's lunch for months. Google released Gemini 2.5 Pro back in March, and the Flash and Flashlight updates dropped in September. And here's what's wild. For 80% of tasks, Gemini 2.5 performs within 5% of GPT-5. But it's free. Completely free for most users, and it's baked directly into Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Calendar, YouTube, and Search. That ecosystem integration is a massive advantage OpenAI can't replicate. When you're already living inside Google's products, using Gemini is frictionless. There's no switching cost, no learning curve, no subscription fee. You just start using it. And the adoption numbers reflect that. Gemini usage has absolutely exploded in 2025. Reports suggest Google's AI query volume has grown over 400% since the beginning of the year. ChatGPT's growth by comparison has flattened. People are still using it, but the explosive growth phase is over. Google's strategy is working. They're not trying to build the absolute best AI. They're building an AI that's good enough for most tasks and making it so convenient that switching to anything else feels like too much effort. That's a brilliant moat, but it's about to get even stronger. Because Gemini 3.0 is rumored to drop November 12th, and if the leaks are accurate, it's going to be a monster. Internal benchmarks that leaked last week suggest Gemini 3.0 is matching or slightly exceeding GPT-5 on reasoning tasks while maintaining the cost efficiency of the 2.5 series. Google's reportedly calling it a reasoning and multimodal overhaul. The goal is to make it indistinguishable from human-level task execution on complex workflows. We're talking about an AI that can manage your entire calendar, draft presentations, analyze financial data, and coordinate with team members across multiple platforms, all without you lifting a finger, and it's going to be free for most users. If Gemini 3.0 delivers on even half of these promises, OpenAI is in serious trouble, because the value proposition shifts completely. Why pay $20 a month for GPT-5 when Gemini 3.0 is free, integrated into every tool you already use, and performs just as well on the tasks you actually care about? The only answer is if you're a power user doing truly advanced work where that extra 5–10% performance gain matters, but that's maybe 10% of the market. Google's going after the other 90%, and they're about to close the gap on that final 10% too. But here's where things get really interesting. DeepSeek. If you haven't been following them, you're missing the biggest story in AI right now. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI lab that's been operating under the radar for most people outside the industry. But inside AI circles, they're legendary. Their V3 series has been quietly matching Western models at a fraction of the training cost. DeepSeek V3.1 dropped in August, V3.2 came out September 29th, and both models perform shockingly close to GPT-4 levels while costing almost nothing to run. But that's not the story. The story is what's coming next. Leaked internal documents and benchmark results started circulating last week for both DeepSeek V4 and DeepSeek R2, and the numbers are absolutely wild. V4 is reportedly matching GPT-5's performance on complex reasoning tasks. We're talking about HLE benchmark scores within 2–3% of GPT-5. Frontier math performance that rivals anything OpenAI has released, and coding benchmarks that actually exceed GPT-5 in certain domains. But here's the kicker. The leaked training cost for V4 is estimated at $12 million. GPT-5 cost OpenAI over $500 million to train. That's not a typo. DeepSeek is building a GPT-5 equivalent for 2% of the cost. How are they doing this? It all comes back to that sparse attention breakthrough we've talked about before. DeepSeek figured out how to make models focus only on the parts of the input that actually matter. It's like having a super efficient filter that strips out all the noise before the model even starts processing. The result is faster inference, lower compute costs, and performance that rivals or exceeds models trained with 50 times more resources. And they're planning to open source the entire thing. You'll be able to download V4, run it on your own hardware, and customize it however you want. No API fees, no usage caps, no corporate gatekeepers. And then there's R2. DeepSeek R2 is even more interesting because it's focused specifically on reasoning chains. The leaked specs suggest R2 can execute reasoning chains up to 100 steps deep without losing coherence. For context, GPT-5 starts to degrade around 40–50 steps on truly complex problems. R2 is designed to handle the kind of multi-stage problem solving that currently requires human oversight, legal analysis across hundreds of documents, financial modeling with dozens of variables, scientific research that spans multiple disciplines, the kind of work where you'd normally need a team of experts. R2 is targeting that level of capability. Now, here's where this gets uncomfortable for OpenAI and Google. If DeepSeek V4 and R2 deliver on these leaked benchmarks, the entire economic model of commercial AI collapses. Because why would anyone pay for GPT-5 or even use free Gemini if they can self-host a DeepSeek model that performs just as well with zero ongoing costs? Enterprises especially are going to love this. No data leaving their servers, no per-token API charges, complete control over fine-tuning and customization. That's a compelling value proposition OpenAI can't match. But let's play devil's advocate for a second. Leaks are leaks. Benchmarks don't always translate to real-world performance. And even if DeepSeek delivers technically, there are major questions about adoption outside China. Western governments are already nervous about Chinese AI technology. There are ongoing debates about security, data privacy, and whether Western companies should be allowed to use Chinese-developed models in sensitive applications. Those regulatory hurdles could limit DeepSeek's reach even if the technology is superior. But here's the thing, developers don't care about geopolitics, they care about what works and what's cheap, and if DeepSeek is both, they'll find a way to use it. So let's game out the next 6 months. GPT-5 is already out and it's the current gold standard for high-end work, but it's expensive and growth has stalled. Gemini 3.0 drops November 12th, assuming the rumors are accurate. If it matches GPT-5's capabilities and remains free, Google instantly becomes the default choice for 90% of users. OpenAI's subscriber base could shrink significantly unless they cut prices or dramatically improve performance. Then sometime in late 2025 or early 2026, DeepSeek drops V4 and R2. If those models perform as leaked, the entire market fractures. Enterprises and developers flee to open source. Consumers stick with whatever's most convenient, probably Gemini. And OpenAI becomes a niche player for the small percentage of users who need absolute cutting-edge performance and are willing to pay for it. That's the nightmare scenario for OpenAI. But there's another possibility. What if GPT-5 is just the beginning? What if OpenAI has GPT 5.5 or GPT 6 already in development, and they're planning to release it faster than anyone expects? Sam Altman has hinted multiple times that the pace of progress is accelerating. Maybe OpenAI isn't worried about Gemini 3.0 or DeepSeek V4 because they know they've got something even better ready to drop. That would be classic OpenAI strategy. Let the competition think they're catching up, then leapfrog them entirely. But that's speculation. What we know for sure is the landscape is shifting fast. Here's what actually matters to you: the average user, developer, or business trying to figure out which AI to use. Right now, in October 2025, GPT-5 is the best overall model if you're willing to pay for it. Gemini 2.5 is the best free option, especially if you're already using Google products. And DeepSeek V4 is the best choice if you want efficiency and don't mind slightly lower performance on edge cases. But in 6 months, that equation could be completely different. Gemini 3.0 might be the best free option and close enough to GPT-5 that paying doesn't make sense anymore. DeepSeek V4 and R2 might be the best options for developers and enterprises who want control without ongoing costs. And GPT-5 might still be the best for creative professionals and researchers who need that extra edge. The real shift happening here isn't about one model winning, it's about the market fragmenting into tiers. Tier 1 is premium paid models like GPT-5. Tier 2 is free ecosystem integrated models like Gemini. Tier 3 is open source efficiency focused models like DeepSeek. And users are going to start bouncing between tiers based on the task. Quick email draft, Gemini, complex coding project, DeepSeek, creative brainstorming session, GPT-5. The idea that one AI will rule everything is dead. The future is multi-model fluency. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people aren't ready to hear. If you're still loyal to one AI platform, you're already behind. The smartest people in tech right now are learning to use all 3 tiers strategically. They're not asking which AI is best. They're asking which AI is best for this specific task right now. And that's a completely different skill set. It requires understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each model, knowing when speed matters more than quality, when cost matters more than performance, when control matters more than convenience. That's the game in late 2025 and into 2026. And if you're not playing that game, someone in your industry is. And they're moving faster than you because they're leveraging the right tool for each job instead of forcing one tool to do everything. That's the actual competitive advantage. Not using the best AI, using the best AI for each task. So here's the real question. Are you ready to stop thinking about AI as a single choice and start thinking about it as a toolkit? Because November 12th, Gemini 3.0 probably drops. Sometime soon after DeepSeek V4 and R2 launch, and the entire AI landscape reshapes itself in real time. The people who adapt fast win. The people who don't get left behind wondering what happened. Now you need to watch the next video on your screen. Make sure you watch it. And if this video helped you understand what's actually happening in AI right now, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.